Hey guys, good morning. Well, it's morning when I'm recording this, but whatever time it is, good morning, good afternoon, good evening when you are watching this. I am Miss Frederick, and this is Pretty Bossy Educator. So, I'm doing my first transformation in my classroom of the year. I am a middle school ELA teacher, if this is your first time here. And we're doing a book tasting today. So I'm getting ready to transform my classroom. I had my students to put the groups together at the end of the day yesterday. So that's one less thing that I have to do. And then I went and got all of my materials, some tablecloths, some little candles to go on top. And then I need to try to get to the printer. As you can see, the back to school germs are trying to take me out, but we will continue to push through because we don't have days to be given away, okay? So the time is now 6:50. So I need to try to hurry up and do this. I'm trying to get done by 7 so that I can go make my copies, go sign in, and make sure that my slides and everything else are ready for the day. So I'm so excited. We're finally getting into our lessons this year because we've been doing our beginning of the year testing. I did a lot of getting to know you activities, a lot of personality, like really just trying to see my students, how they are with different settings. And so now it is time for us to prepare to emerge ourselves in that curriculum-based content, okay? So I'm going to take you guys with me and really have a discussion about doing classroom transformation on a secondary level, all right? So if you're interested in those things, then stay tuned and let's get to it. So I wanted us to have a conversation about why I think it is important for us to incorporate classroom transformations even on the secondary level. Now, I know I might ruffle some feathers and everybody might not agree, but there are a lot of things that we do in the primary sector of education that for some reason, when we get to the secondary level, it's like we think the kids are not still kids and that they don't enjoy and love those things. And so I try every day to find ways to innovate learning, but to also allow our kids to be kids, because that is the problem. They are growing up just entirely too fast. So I definitely would say try to find a way that you can bring your classroom to life and create an experience through the form of a classroom transformation. And as you continue to watch this video, you will see it does not require a lot. And a lot of times we complain that it's a money thing or that financially it's not something that we're able to do. But again, there are people that are in the community that are connected to you that don't mind volunteering, donating, giving things. Sometimes we overbuy, whether it be for a child's party, whether it's for an event. We buy more than what we need. And so it might be as simple as asking your community or the people that are around you to kind of be involved and to help shape the minds of the future. Because when we create the experiences, they learn better. And it also allows them to retain the information through the experience. Even as adults, if we think back to the classroom that we remember or that elementary teacher whose name we will never forget, it is because of the experience, because of the way the classroom made us feel, because of the way they made us feel when we learned. And we have to continue to provide those opportunities to our students as well. So as you can see here, I did not spend a lot of money. I didn't even do food for this transformation, only because, again, doing secondary, I know that we have larger class sizes. So a lot of our primary educator sisters and brothers, they may have like a 30-person roster. Whereas for us, we have that times 7 or times 4, depending on how many periods you teach. So it doesn't need to be what you see. It's about creating the experience that your students need, not that the viral person on TikTok needs or the person you watch on YouTube all the time. Hopefully it's me. But again, making sure you're creating the things that your students need individually. You know them. You're in the classroom with them. You know what may be too much and what may be just enough. So I use Dollar Tree tablecloths, because again, I know middle schoolers, they are not going to be, concerned too much about what it looks like, but more so how it causes them to feel and the atmosphere it puts them in. So I got those tablecloths from Dollar Tree, and then I used books from my regular library that were not going to be a part of the book tasting as my centerpieces. So if you wanted to give them books at the table and let this be an individual assignment, you could do it that way. I detail how I did mine when we get to the end of the video. Okay, so I went to go print. So these are the table numbers that I'm putting in the frame, so they match my font. And then this is the book tasting rubric that I created, and we'll go through this together. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it down at the tables, and then it's gonna be time for me to run downstairs and get my kids. All in all, room transformations are just about creating experiences. You can try to find ways to do this with multiple lessons. So I like to do this one in the beginning of the year. My students often told me that they felt like they were on a date because I set the ambiance, okay? I have my slides up front. I call it Creme de la Creme Cafe. And we had a great time just allowing them to experience the different books, setting the expectations up front, and letting them know that this is an opportunity, and that if we're not able to enjoy it, allow everybody to have their piece, then we won't do them moving forward. I almost dropped my phone. So it's after my second period, and I just want to show y'all, okay? Some of my tables, they still look put together. And then there's this one. Like, why? It looked like the tablecloth was the entree, and I just don't understand. And what is that? It's always something. But the kids are really doing well. They're enjoying it. They're picking their books. They're liking the ambiance, so it's doing very good. Of course, they keep making jokes talking about they still ain't got their food and they waiting on their drinks and things like that. But I just could not supply food for 90 kids. So I think that's one thing that I would review as far as comparing this to the elementary transformations. It's easy when you have a class of 30, even 35, to get things like donuts and pastries and things like that. But being that I'm in middle school with 3 periods, because my elective class, of course, they're just theater, they won't participate. But having the 3 periods with 30 kids and almost all of them, it's just a lot trying to buy some type of refreshment or snack or something like that for them to enjoy. So yeah, so far so good. I'm down to one more class. I'll try to get some footage of that last class of them doing it. It's just a little difficult because I'm the one doing all of the talking and presenting and things like that. So I'll try to at least show you guys one of the books. So far the best reaction is to One of Us is Lying. So towards the end in my closeout video, I'll show you all of the books that I presented to them, how they went through it, and then I'll show you which one was the winner. So again, mostly all of my classes are selecting One of Us is Lying. So that's a good thing. But I definitely see that they appreciate the variation in the books. I just definitely wish there was a bigger variation or variety in what they could choose. So I am team lead, and we're about to have PLC on our planning. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I'll chat back with you guys later. Hey guys. Ooh, so the voice is almost non-existent. It is the day after the book tasting, which is the video that you're watching. And I didn't get a chance to do the outro because I coached cheerleading, and it was our last day of tryouts. So I have 42 girls, almost 50, closer to 50. And unfortunately, I have to watch them go to the bathroom, get changed and all of that. So I don't really have the time to do outros and things like that this week. But I did want to come back and give you guys the rundown of the book tasting and a little more details in case you were interested in that. If there's anything I don't discuss, you can definitely feel free to ask the questions in the comment section. But these were the books that we did our book tasting with. So you have Amari and the Night Brothers, One of Us is Lying, Dear Martin, Grown, If You're Out There, Last 8, They Both Die at the End. And then I also did Boy 21 for the boys that like sports. Unfortunately, it didn't come in time, so I just showed it on the screen, still read the summary, things like that. So what I do for my book tasting, and I'll just give you an example with one, is I tell them the title first. So during the book tasting, the books are this way. So they see nothing but like the pages. They can't see the spine of the book. So I give them the title and they give their first impression. Okay, so based on the title, what is one word that comes to mind? And I let them be free, whether it's boring, maybe it's interesting, maybe curious, maybe it's whatever it is that the one word is that comes to mind when they hear the title. Because oftentimes when choosing a book, the title grabs your attention. And then the second thing they do, which is the second thing that grabs your attention, is they look at the cover. So I keep the book down, give the title, spell it if they need help with the spelling, and then I let them write their one word, and then I'll say I'm showing the cover in 3, 2, 1. And so then I hold the book up and I show the book around to the class to allow everybody to see it, and they rate the cover 1 through 5. And I just give them some different things that the 1 through 5 can mean. 1, like not interested, wouldn't pick it up, Miss Frederick, go put it back on the shelf. 2, okay, it looks interesting, but I'm not necessarily sure that I would be interested in it. Maybe it's somebody else, it fits their personality more. 3, I'm a little in between. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be interested or not interested, but it is piquing my interest. 4, it piques my interest, but maybe it's not piquing it enough that I would pick the book up and bring it home. And then 5, like I'm interested, I would open it for the next step to see what's in it, okay? So title, first impression, and then show the cover. The next thing I do is I read the summary that's in the back of the book, or some books it's on that first little like cover page, okay? But I do read the summary and I let them draw an emoji on what they think about the summary. So some of them were using like the 100 symbol, some were drawing like thumbs down, some were drawing like the face with the Z's, like going to sleep. And again, this is just for them to experience the book. So I didn't write the book, I'm not offended. It's their interpretation, their expression, how they feel about it. So I let them draw whatever emoji they come up with after hearing me read the summary. Then I have different groups give me a random page, and I turn to that page and I read literally just that page. And if it's good, then I'll read just the next page. That's it. So I used to, well, last year when I did this, I did audio versions. So I let the audio sample, typically on Amazon, they have a little sample that you can hear. But I let them listen to a section of the book, but some of the voiceovers, it was a little weird. And the kids kept laughing too much instead of listening to what was being read. So now I read it. So then I read a section, and then they fill in a little emoji, like face that I put on there. So on the sheet that I created, it has like a face, sad face, or a smiley face. And then based on the reading I did, they either circle or shade in the face that they best represents, that they feel best represents how they feel about the passage of the book that I read. And then at the end of that, they look at everything that they wrote and give it a final ranking of 1 through 5 using that same rubric that I mentioned to them earlier when we started the program or started the project. Okay, so that is my book tasting. As you can see, doing cheer and doing that 3 times in all of my classes, my voice is shot. But they enjoyed it. One of my students was like, Miss Frederick, I feel like I was on a date with the books. I said, there we go. Trying to set the mood. I had the candle lights flickering. And I literally walked them to their seat like a waitress. Of course, some of them were laughing and was like, we haven't got our drinks yet. Where's our bread? You know, stuff like that. So they enjoyed it, but they were able to choose books. So I was able to get who chose what book. I will now reveal the book that had the most votes through all 3 classes. My first period class, everybody chose it. It was a unanimous thing. But the rest of my classes, it had the largest number of choices, and that is One of Us is Lying. So this is the book that all of my students chose. So we will read it as a class in my first period since everybody chose it. But my other periods, I will have a class set, and then they'll just do their book clubs, read in their independent time together, and do like kind of a rotation thing, because your girl can't buy 20 something of this book, okay? If somebody wants to bless me, feel free to, but I can't. So this was the book that had overall the most votes, and that is One of Us is Lying. And I'm excited. So I have the third version of the book. My classroom was adopted by a sororities. I'll give you a video on that later, but I have put this on my wish list, and they got the third version of it, which is One of Us is Back. So there's One of Us is Lying, then there's One of Us is Next, and then the last one is One of Us is Back. So that is my first classroom transformation, which is our book tasting. I always do it in the very beginning of the year because I don't care what book they're reading as long as they're reading for one, and I focus on them understanding and grasping the standards. So I feel like a lot of times our students struggle because the text and the reading that is matched with the resources that we use, things like Common Lit and things like that, they are boring. I mean, they're not interesting. It's not up to date. It's not relevant to the kids and where they are right now. And so they struggle showing mastery on that standard or whatever it is that we're testing them because it's not interesting. So they're halfway paying attention and things of that nature. So I want to make sure I do my part to understand or get them to a point of understanding what they're supposed to know so that no matter what text they read, they know the concept. And I feel like I can best get that done with books that they want to pick up and that they want to read. So that's my book tasting video. I hope something in this helped you, inspired you, gave you an idea. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comment section. If you liked this video, you thought it was a great idea, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. And I look forward to talking to you guys in my next video. Bye.